Meanwhile, the trans debate has been something that has been at the forefront of our national conscience for years now, and anyone who doesn't wholeheartedly support the transitioning of young people has been condemned publicly as a bigot. But how many children, yes, children, have been coerced into medical mutilation, also referred to as gender-affirming care, in the United States? Now, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons has just become the first major medical association to recommend against permanent life-altering surgeries for young people. This move coming after the first successful medical malpractice lawsuit by a detransitioner, Fox Varian, a 22-year-old woman who accused New York doctors of pushing a double mastectomy on her when she was just 16 years old, when she said she identified as a boy. She's now been awarded $2 million after the win in the courtroom. So is this the start of more lawsuits or wins to come? For more now, I'm joined by Chloe Cole, an activist who opposes youth gender surgeries after she detransitioned at 16 years old, and Matt Sharp, Senior Counsel and Director of the Center for Public Policy at Alliance Defending Freedom. So, Chloe, I hate to use the word detransitioner because much of this is permanent when this process begins and is pushed by adults. But what is your reaction to this lawsuit and this court ruling?
Thanks for having me. This is a success that came at a bit of an unexpected time, but it's going to be a massive leap for the detransitioner movement. Having looked into her case a little bit more, it speaks to me very personally because she was experiencing a lot of things that I was when I was going through the gender confusion as a kid as well. She not only had the gender-related distress, she was going through depression, she was suffering from symptoms of autism, and even estrangement from her father. Now, if I were a psychologist, my very first question would be, how do all of these things tie into this distress that she has around her body? And because her doctors failed that responsibility to take care of her and to lead her into a better direction, she deserves every single bit of justice that she gets, if not more.
So, Matt, there's a group called Do No Harm, which is a group of doctors who are against this, and they have been for years. They did a study that shows at least 5,700 American children have been subjected to these kinds of surgeries between 2019 and 2023. And these surgeries are experimental. So in terms of this lawsuit that we saw coming down on the side of this young woman who was coerced into this life-altering mutilation of her body, what does this mean for maybe thousands of other children and their rights moving forward to get this problem rectified?
I think this is going to give them encouragement that they have the right to receive justice for what was done to them. They were coerced, they were lied to, they had this radical gender transition drugs and surgeries pushed on them. And for years, voices in Europe have been warning about this. Legal voices like Alliance Defending Freedom have been pointing out that this is not backed by any science or good medicine. So verdicts like this send a message that these individuals, these children that were harmed by this, are entitled to justice, and those that did the harm are going to be held accountable.
Chloe, do you see a cultural shift at all? I mean, this has been pushed so hard for the last 10 years. Do you see this lawsuit now maybe pushing it in the opposite direction, especially now that we have a number of studies that show these surgeries don't improve the mental health of the children who are getting them? It actually increases problems of suicidal thoughts and other harmful activities against oneself. Do you think that this is going to change the culture finally back to sanity and common sense and protecting the rights of children not to be harmed by psychologists and doctors who are experimenting on these children?
Absolutely. I've been speaking about my own experience with detransitioning as a teenager and have even filed a lawsuit myself with Center for American Liberty against Kaiser, who provided these treatments to me. And in the last 4 years, I've seen a massive cultural shift in the discussion around transgenderism, especially in regards to children. And I think that this case is going to be precedental, and many other detransitioners and other people who regret their transition who went through it very young are going to see this and know that there is a path to justice and a new way out for them. And I think the bittersweet thing about this is that no matter how much any of us are compensated, it is never going to bring back time. We are never going to be able to relive our childhoods or get our innocence or healthy body parts back. But this is an amazing start.
Matt, Alliance Defending Freedom has been at the forefront of this issue. You've been there since the beginning. sounding the alarm about what this would mean for children all over the country, the medical establishment engaging in this for profit. What work is still ahead? I mean, this isn't just about transgender surgeries for children. It's also about puberty blockers, which are very damaging and irreversible. And it's also about these systems that have been set up in hospitals around the country to profit off of this kind of mutilation of children's bodies.
Yeah, well, look, there's been a lot of progress. We've now got 27 states that have passed laws banning these experimental, dangerous drugs and surgeries on kids. We have the Trump administration coming out very strongly condemning this and taking concrete action. We're seeing federal legislation pushed. Now we're seeing these medical malpractice lawsuits. And look, it is a big thing that the Physicians Association, or the Plastic Surgeons Association, is the first major medical association to come out and reverse course on this. So there's a lot of good things happening, but there's more work to be done. We have to get gender ideology out of the medical community. We have to stop this radical gender ideology from infecting our schools, the practice of medicine. And so there's still a lot of work to be done. But look, this is a watershed moment to finally hold the wrongdoers accountable, to give justice to the kids that have been damaged by this. And I think we ought to continue to push forward to make sure that no matter where a child lives in this country, that they're protected from these drugs and surgeries. They're protected from having their bodies mutilated, and those that are harming them are held accountable across the country.
Chloe, final word to you, just given all of your experience with this, both firsthand and your advocacy against it. What would you say to those who are encouraged to make these drastic decisions when they're struggling as a teenager, and the adults that put them in these positions and pressure them into getting these life-altering, irreversible treatments?
I think that for most adolescents, and even maybe for most young adults, a part of growing up is going through a crisis in your identity and wondering who you are. And that can come, all the changes that come with that can come with a lot of its own stress. But it's not something that you have to deal with alone. And you certainly don't have to change who you are, because who you are is not how you look on the outside, but the things that you do for the people around you and your character. And this is never going to make you happy, but embracing who you are, made in God's image, will.
Well, we know that there are a number of lawsuits out there, including yours, and we'll be following them. Chloe Cole and Matt Sharp, thank you very much for coming on to talk about this tonight.